official. The BSP and SP will part ways just months after a risky political experiment to trump the BJP with combined vote shares in Uttar Pradesh failed. BSP Chief Mayawati wants to go it alone in bypolls, but the split points to a bigger question. Is the opposition failing to grapple with the post-Lok Sabha 2019 scenario? The Modi juggernaut on its way to parliament has left opposition parties in its wake. The Congress still has to find a new president or hope Rahul Gandhi stays on. Its state units from Rajasthan to Maharashtra are imploding. In Uttar Pradesh, the Mahagathbandhan is on its last legs. BSP Chief Mayawati has announced that the party will fight the upcoming 11 assembly bypolls in Uttar Pradesh alone, though both sides are keeping their options open.
जब सपा का बेस बोर्ड खुद सपा के खास सीटों पर ही छिटक गया है, तो फिर उन्होंने बीएसपी को अपना वोट कैसे दिया होगा। और यदि हमें लगेगा कि सपा प्रमुख अपने राजनीतिक कार्यों को करने के साथ साथ अपने लोगों को मिशनरी बनाने में कामयाब हो जाते हैं, तो फिर हम लोग जरूर आगे भी मिलकर साथ में चलेंगे। अगर वे किसी कारणवश इस काम में सफल नहीं हो पाते हैं, तो फिर हम लोगों का अकेले ही चलना ज्यादा बेहतर होगा।
और जब गठबंधन के चुनाव में है ही नहीं उपचुनाव में, तो हम अपनी समाजवादी पार्टी की तैयारी करेंगे। समाजवादी पार्टी भी 11 सीटों पर पार्टी से राय मशवरा कर करके अकेले लड़ेगी, उसका विचार हम लोग कर लेंगे बहुत जल्दी।
Opposition leaders seem to be on the back foot for now. So do they need to rethink the alliance formula to take on the BJP and survive? So one key question is that will the alliance formula have to be re-looked at, which is disparate opposition parties coming together to take on the BJP? Secondly, where is the opposition? Have they abandoned the political discourse for the last few days? One has not heard from them on key issues while they're still trying to grapple with existential questions. Speaking on the future of the opposition in India, I'm joined today by Manisha Priyam, a political analyst, Tathagat Satpathy, a former Lok Sabha MP and journalist, and Sanjeev Srivastav, political commentator. Welcome to all of you and thank you for speaking with us on the show this evening. Manisha Priyam, let me begin with you. After the SP-BSP split, which was predicted from the last couple of days, is it clear that opposition parties will have to rethink the alliance factor and the theory that an alliance will work to push back the BJP politically?
So the one thing that this breakup of the alliance is doing is confirming to you that the alliance actually was not an alliance on the ground. An alliance that can break up within days of an election result coming. I don't think if it's even a month. So even the period, the traditional period of mourning is not over. Therefore, what this breakup is telling you that perhaps all was not well within the alliance in any case. So if the voters caught this before the alliance breakup, that all was not well within the alliance, why blame the voter today? So alliance politics is not working, not because the caste arithmetic is not there or the voters don't take them seriously. I think there is an issue with the leadership, and the leadership here has been in power in Uttar Pradesh for a very long time, and politicians entrenched in power now therefore have an aversion to aligning with other smaller allies. What those issues are is for the political parties to tell us. But even at the risk of extinction, remember in the last elections, the BSP had a tally of 0. Yeah. This time around, they've had a heavy hand as far as the SP is concerned. And the moment the elections have finished, and perhaps these victories may have been with the support of the SP there, who knows? We don't know whether SP votes went to the BSP or not, or BSP went to SP or not. So why is it that, was the real purpose of this alliance to teach Akhilesh Yadav a lesson, or was the real purpose of this alliance to fight with the Narendra Modi government in the BJP? Yeah. Now, if you look at today, then it clearly seems that the alliance was formed as a competition between the SP and BSP rather than any type of competition with the BJP. And the voters simply saw this through a month ago. That's the only thing that I can say today.
Okay, but
This wasn't really an alliance that was working on the ground.
well, but it seemed like they were pulling out all stops. They were campaigning together. There was a lot of symbolism in the way they presented themselves. Sanjeev Srivastava, if you listen to what Mayawati said today, and it was very interesting because she sort of put Akhilesh on notice. She said that if he manages to get his followers in place, maybe we can reconsider. If not, then we may as well go it alone. Do you think they've kept their options open, or this is pretty much it for the alliance in Uttar Pradesh? And remember, a few months ago, this seemed like the huge political experiment and the only thing that could keep the BJP at bay from the state.
Well, that's Mayawati for you. I have always compared her to, when as kids we used to play cricket or gully cricket, then there was this boy always who was the kind of a local spoil sport or whatever, and he used to bring the bat, and once he got out, he took the bat away and said, now the match is over, because I don't want to field and I don't want to bowl, I only want to bat. So Mayawati is something like that. She has called off alliances after her term of chief ministership has been over. This time she has called off the alliance after she has got nearly double the seats of her alliance partner in the parliament. So, but yes, I do agree with Manisha Priyam that somewhere the alliance did not work, and it was not big. I'm not very sure how much the voters saw through and how much they were not cooperating with each other, but definitely the alliance was there as a caste-based alliance, as a leader of political heavyweights of the state, but they did not have any story to tell, any big narrative to offer, except to their own caste fellow brothers and sisters. But remember, vis-a-vis 2014, the alliance still did better. And then there were seats like Chandauli, from where the UP BJP chief comes, which was decided on a margin of less than 1,000 votes. Constituencies like Machli Share, 180 votes. So the contest has been very keen. The results may not signify that or suggest that. So the alliance did work on the ground, not as much as the alliance partners wanted, but it was there effective. But now there is no immediate necessity. The state elections are still good 3 years away, parliament elections 5 years away. Why should Mayawati carry the baggage of Akhilesh? It will be better and politically more prudent for her to cozy up to the BJP rather than sticking with this alliance.
Yeah, interesting thought there.
Akhilesh has a long innings, so Akhilesh will not walk off.
No, Akhilesh seems to be the one at the receiving end here from what Mayawati said today as well. But Tathagat Satpathy, let me take it beyond just Uttar Pradesh and why this alliance in Uttar Pradesh was being watched so keenly. Because the theory was that if these two can come together, then the broader alliance can work. The fact that this alliance is coming apart so soon after the results, as Manisha Priyam said, even the stipulated days of mourning are not done yet. What does it point to? Will opposition parties now re-look at alliances as a formula to stay in survival?
Your audio is very bad. I don't know if you can receive me clearly. I have a happy takeaway from UP election results. One thing I noticed that the battle was very keenly contested. So I do not think it was a small achievement on the part of the non-BJP. Secondly, I think the citadels of caste have just about started to crumble. I won't say it has crumbled totally, but it has just and that's a good sign for India. The second thing is, like it was mentioned earlier, the non-BJP did not have a story to tell, which is very true. And I completely agree that they missed out. They thought that demonetization and GST and things like that will make them sail through. But I believe they had to have a positive story, which they completely, whether it was the Congress or the SP, BSP, all of them together, they failed. Wherever the non-BJP had a scope of giving a story, a positive story of its own accord, there they have succeeded, like we saw in Andhra Pradesh, in Tamil Nadu, in Kerala, and even in Orissa. So wherever they failed miserably. Where they succeeded very well. And I think it's a good beginning for Indian politics,
No,
and
but
I'm very
I don't know.
optimistic.
I don't know if I'm sure. But, all of you tonight are saying that there was no real clear message. The message was clear. Vote Modi out. The message failed is a different story. But there was a very clear message, and the voters rejected it. So then, what next? Let me come to Sanjeev Srivastava on this. What next? Because there you have the Congress still figuring out who their president will be. Will the current one stay on? Will they find a new one? Their state units are in disarray. Here, Mayawati is trying to figure out what is happening with her and hold on to her vote shares. Where is the opposition in this country?
Well, that's a that's a very relevant question. The opposition is in doldrums. But the opposition is, it has not vanished. And while you say, Tamanna, that you think there was a message, yes, there was a message, like you said, vote Modi out.
Yeah.
But then for whom? Why? And what is the alternative? What is the other narrative? That message was missing. That is what we are trying to say. So only a negative message will not work. In 2014, Modi was constantly against UPA and its corruption. At the same time, he was a messenger for hope. He positioned himself as a change agent. In 2019, he positioned himself as the great security person or somebody who will take India forward, at the same time safeguard its frontiers. So that was the big message, and of course his schemes and those welfare measures will continue. What did the opposition have to offer? Nothing much. So really, and also the opposition alliances all across the country were very half-hearted. Remember, the last big strong leader you can compare to vis-a-vis Mr. Modi was Indira Gandhi, and post-emergency, at least in major parts of North, Central, West and East India, the opposition had one candidate against Indira Congress. This time that was not the case. Even in a place like Uttar Pradesh, had the Congress been a part of the alliance, there would have been another 10 seats. And had some of the closer contests gone in favor of the Gathbandhan, this tally would have been around 25-30. So it is not that it was a walkover or a no match, no contest kind of a situation. But yes, the castes have begun to not disappear, but that very strong fortress cementing force has begun to show signs of vulnerability. So there were areas, and then there were people like Shivpal Yadav who took away the Yadav votes from Akhilesh. So there was some very smart politics, ground level management, and of course Mr. Modi's charisma, which led to the complete mess up with the Gathbandhan. But so in future, the opposition has to get its narrative right. They have to come up with a viable alternative.
I want Manisha
And it's
Priyam
very
to come.
difficult. If
what
I knew
would be the narrative in the future if not more of let's vote out Modi? What else can an opposition party say rather than vote out the guy who's in power? And what can they do apart from coming together? If both of those things have failed, then what next?
I saw the alliance close quarters in Uttar Pradesh and spent a lot of my time on the field there. What were the things that I saw were not happening there? See, there was a close coordination between the leadership. Akhilesh Yadav bent backwards to accommodate Bahan Mayawati. To see them together on the stage was really charisma. Their big rallies were pin drop silence, very well attended. But what did not happen was a bonhomie just below. The SP Karyakartas, for example, worked on a different vector from the BSP Karyakarta. So this alliance actually should have stuck on and worked a little more on putting that together. The second important thing was, more than narrative, the fact is that in the days of artificial intelligence and data, a lot of hard work goes on doing polls, surveys, call centers, artificial intelligence, a back office working to put the election management at the booth level together. And that was not being done. So you had a rejigged alliance there, but it wasn't working like a party as an organizational structure. And precisely the alliance with the BJP of the JDU in Bihar was working because these were shared resources of a common pool for the two of them. But here that level was not there. The other third problem that I saw was that, they are the two parties, the SP and the BSP, have to work on, if now they've said split, so we don't know what will happen there. They have to work on saying what is it that is common between them, that is a different and solid offering to their state. Remember, even in this BJP victory, a Naveen Patnaik has won in Odisha, a KCR has worked in Telangana, in Bihar, a JDU and BJP alliance has worked. Therefore, there was no reason in practice that, or in theory, that this alliance could not have worked either now or in the future. And the other part is, the Shivpal factor is not just a Yadav factor. Many of the workers that Shivpal had on the ground were also from the Thakur caste. A pan-Thakur alliance with the BJP took away, also with the going of Raja Bhaiya, provided them a state-wide narrative, the Kushwahas, which the BSP lost out on. So not just the narrative, it's also the arithmetic that they've lost out in the past. It's not an organization that is a Gen Next digitally laced organization. It is not a party that is offering something together common for the residents of Uttar Pradesh. So it didn't seem as if they were working on a sub-nationalism of Uttar Pradesh. It could be just somebody going and talking about, unemployment today, demonetization tomorrow, and therefore the narrative seems fragmented. But first, these first order things need to be built block by block, and then you need to oppose a big enemy like Mr. Modi. And that clearly was not done.
Okay, let's extend that. Let's extend that to what next for the opposition. And Tathagat, let me come to the basic question of where is the opposition today in India. Recently, the Congress said that it will not, lay claim to the position of leader of opposition. They're too short. Few days before that, you had pictures of Rahul Gandhi meeting, Sharad Pawar, and there were reports that the NCP would help out in filling up that gap, so they could be leader of opposition. So you don't even have a claim to be leader of opposition right now. The primary opposition party by default has been the Congress. Is the Congress? They don't know what they're doing. The other regional players are trying to figure out what hit them. What is the way forward for the opposition in India, and how dire is this current situation where you literally have none?
Was that for me?
Yes, Tathagat.
I think I'm very, like I said earlier, I'm very optimistic. I think the opposition has to consider itself as not an opposition, but has to create an India where they have a story, they have something to say to the people which is positive. What happened in this 2000 election is they had no story at all, and the BJP had a very flimsy story of Pulwama, Balakot, and asking votes in the name of soldiers and stuff like that. And of course, we had the bureaucracy functioning in a style which did create doubts in the minds of certain people. But all that does not come to naught just because the vote percentage or the vote share for one particular party went in a different way than most of the educated so-called elite, or as you said, the Lutyens mindset people expected it to be. I'm very optimistic because another thing I notice is that the people in India are willing to give a 10-year period to any leader to implement what they think they should do for India. I remember at the end of the UPA 1, when the issue of nuclear power was brought into parliament and the BJP brought in cash and everything, at that time, even my friend said that how can you oppose this nuclear energy deal? It's the most important thing for India. And at that time, India, it seemed, every household will own a nuclear reactor and everybody will have energy at home. It seemed like that. But that also came to pass. So this story, I'm in a way happy that this Pakistan bashing, this Islamophobia, this also is a passing phase. and people will eventually realize it is not the opposition, mind you. I want to make it very clear. It is not the opposition. The opposition has been left far behind by the people of India, but it is the people of India who will
Yeah, but
realize
that all sounds very good. With all due respect, Mr. Satpathy, all that all sounds
No,
very
it's
good.
happening.
But
It is
when
happening.
when
Not just
Parliament
now.
begins on June 15th, you need an opposition standing there. Sanjeev Srivastava, there was supposed to be this big meet between opposition parties to figure out their strategy for Parliament. It may well happen in the next few days to come. But that is the arena to see, what the role of the opposition is, to question and review policy decisions that the government puts forward. Let's, leave this electoral rhetoric behind. That's where they have to come and do their job, isn't it?
Tamanna, the fact of the matter is that the opposition really couldn't get its act together to put up
Right.
whatever, a solid challenge to Mr. Modi in the last 5 years. So after getting such a beating and such a dribbing, just after 11 days you are asking questions on what is the opposition doing, why aren't they getting their act together? That is also expecting a bit too much.
But till
They are
when will
licking
they lick their wounds?
They are,
Till when will they lick
they
their
are crying.
wounds?
Yeah, so
you have to get on.
Oh, it's only 11 days. No, they have to get on, but it is for them to
Right.
get on. We can't egg them on.
Yeah. No, it's
So
not
the-
about egging
see,
it
the
on. I
idea
think it's a
is
fair
that
question.
it'll
I think
take
it's a fair
time.
question.
So what I'm just saying is, this government has been elected with a fantastic majority for 5 years. I think the first thing for the opposition parties is, if I knew a formula, or if any of the panelists or any of the anchors in this country know the formula of what the opposition should do, I think they should keep it a complete secret, because that's a $1 billion formula.
Yeah.
Nobody knows it. What the
No
opposition needs to
anchors
do
know
to
anything.
get its act
Let
together
me
and
make
challenge
that clear.
Modi. If
No
they had
anchors
known it,
know anything. I will not speak for panelists.
So I'm just saying, at least I don't know.
Okay.
No, yeah. So no, I'm saying nobody knows that. Otherwise, and if somebody knows, they should share it with the opposition.
No, but
not on a
let me
television
get
channel.
Manisha Priyam on
My
this point.
issue is
Sanjeev
that
Srivastava
the
is saying
first-
go easy on them. Sanjeev Srivastava
Let me
is saying go
complete.
easy on
Okay,
them.
yeah.
It's just been a few days.
I'm not
Let
saying
them,
that.
Let them still recover.
I'm not saying
They're
that.
Still in the ICU.
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm just saying that a group of opposition
No, I'll tell you,
which couldn't
let me
get
put
its
this in
act together
context.
for 3 years.
Let me put this in context.
How can they act together in 11 days?
Meanwhile, while they're figuring out, what is happening to them and who leads what and which spokespersons to sack, meanwhile, you have terrible GDP data that has come in. Unemployment data officially now has come out, which shows we're in bad shape. The US is, sort of knuckling down on us with tariffs. Don't you need policy voices and opposition voices to ask the government what they're doing with all of this? Apart from licking their wounds, there is work to be done. That's my simple point. Manisha Priyam.
Exactly, and you've got it right. There needs to be, for a vibrant democracy, a ruling party and an opposition, and all these state level parties that believe that as much as there are national parties in India, there are also state level and regional parties that believe that they are here to stay. And in this election, there are two kinds of verdicts. Remember, there is the overall winner, which is the Bharatiya Janata Party, but there are also important state level victories. And therefore, I am surprised that the erstwhile allies of Uttar Pradesh, I remember the song that they said, Pasa 19 mein paltai, lahar chai UP mein. And they said, we are just rolling the dice. They were to still open up the script. And rather than just talk about this seat won and why didn't Dimple, win or lose, today, Tamanna, as you have said, they should have acted as the shadow opposition, and they should have had an alternate policy brief on all of these things.
Yeah.
Very important leaders of both of these political parties should be coming and briefing the media on what they think are their beliefs, and they should use this moment as a moment where they reach to people with policy alternatives and a solid policy critique, because they are not in parliament, they are not in the state assembly, the media is their forum. So rather than simply say, okay, we went together, but now we are quits, this is not impressing anybody. This is not impressing anybody. What is it that you have to say? What is it that you stand for? Do these political parties have public interest as the notion that they serve?
Yeah.
So in life, as much as being perished in elections, they need to survive for precisely the reasons that you've just said.
Yeah.
They need to stand up today and say that in public interest, whether we are in power or not, we have this critique or we want to engage with this policy. If they find some policies very good, let them support the government, whether they're in power or not. That would be a constructive dialogue.
Absolutely,
and I think you're spot on
absolutely.
this.
When you
Get out of drama.
Yes,
They have to get out of drama. They have to realize that they actually have a very important role to play, and they have to get out of drama. Dramatizing everything does not help.
When you take a knock, you have to stand back up and move on. It's the job of opposition parties to play that role. Hopefully, we'll see some of that, not disruption, but at least play a positive role in the policy making of this government. Hopefully, we'll see that in the first parliament session in a few days from now. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on the debate this evening. And coming up on India Development Debate, we ask the question, how bad is it really? A lot of economic data points to a possible slowdown. Are we in big trouble? What's the way forward? Coming back with our expert panel right after the break.